Okay, welcome everyone. Good morning, good day, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Ask a Better Question. What are the changes humanity can expect to be happening in our world? We invite you to take control of your life in the here and now by asking with us the big life questions that concern you. Whatever life question would you like to get to grips with? If the answer came to you that would make life meaningful, what would that question be? Who are we? What is our purpose? What is humanity's next evolutionary step? How can we handle the changes and make it through these critical times? Let's get real with our lives, face ourselves, and ask the better question. I'm joined today, my name is Jonathan Eveleigh, and I'm joined today with Rob Christianson from Boise, Idaho. Good day, Rob.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, Rob, let's get to it. What are the changes humanity can expect to be happening?
Well, looking forward, there's always the unseen variables that could come in and change all of it. But on the tip of the iceberg, as we're moving forward, humanity is experiencing a renaissance. There's an awakening within everybody right now. They don't know what it is. However, they run it through their filters and come up with some kind of an idea. But they're all getting the call to do something, but they don't know what it is. As far as humanity is speaking, the three-dimensional world is on a crash course in the next 3 or 4 months. And so just a heads up for whatever could happen. It could change, and I'm all part making that happen. But for the most part, try to get to where you are more independent of the three-dimensional world, being able to be economically sound, physically, mentally, and emotionally sound, whatever it needs to be in your world. This is kind of a heads up, because the three-dimensional world is being deconstructed as we speak right now. So don't get standing there left holding the bag when things start to fall apart. And it's okay. This change is on the horizon, and it's all very, very, very good. And that is what's on the agenda on the big picture. But we can switch a little bit and go to the smaller individual personal, if we would like to. On a personal note, let's go into legacy. So let's start looking at who and what you really are. And did you really fulfill your soul contract? If you died tomorrow, looking back, what did you contribute to yourself and humanity? These are the big ones. And if you're looking back and you have regrets, then it's not too late to change some of that going forward. If you're satisfied with where you're at and what's going on, that's okay too. But this is a very important thing to do a life review at this particular time and see if you're really living up to your highest potential. So on that note, I'll turn it over to Jonathan.
Well, Rob, I love how you have an eye on the future. You know, you speak about a renaissance. Um, let's bring it on. But, looking out there in the world, as so many people's lives are facing a kind of dystopia. It's almost like life is pitted against life. There's something called the artificial matrix, and the forces, the powers that be that have been in power and control economically, militaristically, all of that seem to be dug in and bringing that one on and giving everyone a real tough time. But you say, let's get in touch with our inner life and review where we're standing? How could I apply that if the bills are stacking up? You know, the family seems to be in crisis, and maybe there's not enough uh, food to go round. Even I don't know. How do we actually get real with that and bring through some energy, some thought, some intentionality behind this Renaissance effect? And where is that coming from?
It's coming from the change, and it's been in the, shall we say, atmosphere, call it whatever you want out there, but it's starting to land at this particular time. Shall we say the stars are lining up in such a way that it is coming to Earth in spades, and so the changes are going to be major for a lot of people. And the more that you're independent of the three-dimensional illusion, the better off you'll go through this with more grace. But it's to look at everything that you've got it going on in your world and what you think is real and really challenge it. You know, is this really important for my spiritual growth and for humanity? And if the answer is yes, keep right on going. Uh, the spirit's going to slap you in the face, but that's okay. Maybe you need that. I don't know. But this is a great thing to look at this particular time. Do a little introspective look at yourself and the direction you're going, and maybe you need to change course a little bit. This is what I'm all about right now, getting people to really line up with who and what they really are. You know, some of this later on we'll get into purpose. You know, what is your soul contract, and a lot of other things that could come to the forefront as things start moving forward with these transmissions that Jonathan and I are trying to bring forth for humanity. I think at this particular time, it's very much an individual look at. You know, don't look outside yourself. Do a little soul searching and see where you're at with everything around you and what is important for you. Is it family? Is it this or is it that? You know, it's really important to say, okay, let me get my feet planted on immovable ground. We need to be on solid ground moving forward. If what we got our ideas and belief systems about everything that is transitory, it's going to evaporate and you might be looking really crazy in the face because it's not working anymore. And so
Right.
at this particular crossroads in your life, that's why me and Jonathan are coming to the forefront and trying to give people a wake up call. It's time for us to really go deeper and find out who and what we really are.
Yeah, we've said goodbye to a comfortable ride, right? And we are embracing change. And we are, if you like, catalysts for the change that needs to happen. We've heard be the change you're seeking. It's even greater than that, isn't it? Change is happening so that we can become who we are really truly meant to be. Uh, uh, Creative influencers in our lives, in our families, in our communities. I believe that's what's emerging from out of the cocoon, you know, the chrysalis, the metamorphosis of the caterpillar-like state we've been in as humanity, abusing the natural resources and creating a systemic crisis. So if we're to make it through the next few years, we need to morph into the butterfly or the pollinator, butterflies and bees, right? Our pollinators, they're giving back. But the question I have, Rob, is around detachment. Oftentimes, people facing crises and very difficult situations are still feeding that situation because of attachment, one way or another, emotionally, mentally, or by some means or another. How do we walk the talk, like you say, on solid ground and release ourselves from the matrix, even if we have to still participate? How do we recover our essence from the dystopia?
Well, it's an interesting question. Here's how I would address that. All of our beingness, shall we say, in the three-dimensional world, from our parents to our kids to our brothers and sisters, we are programmed to think everything is real around us. You need to open yourself up and say, this is not real. It's just a particular scene on the stage of life. And I have to play my part. So how do I want to play it? So you look at that and go, I'm not attached to the results. Spirit is what's orchestrating everything. And that's what you got to look at, Trust in the process as we go forward, that maybe there'll be twists and turns and stuff that seems kind of distasteful, but the distasteful comes from the attachment. You're attached to this and outcome, and you're attached to that outcome. Get to where you say, well, for the highest good, this is coming forth, and I need to look at it from that perspective and not go, oh my God, this is not what I wanted, and so on and so forth. That's it.
Very good. Yeah. So we can be actors in our own drama, but we can also be the observer, the audience, and we can also be the director to give it direction from, let's say, a higher perspective. I think that's where we need to be if we're to become creators, right? Directors or script writers in the play, the drama. We need to step out of the shadow world. It reminds me of Plato's cave, where the prisoners are in that darkened room and all they can see is shadows on the wall. But then one of them decides to lift the chains off, because apparently it's not binding. They can lift the chains off. And he realizes that there's a fire creating the shadows behind their view. And so he walks up into the outside world, out of the cave, and it's a whole new dimension, a whole new reality to be discovered. So we've got that to think about.
Well, the big one that I see that's coming around the corner, because it's a lot of changes on the agenda, and there can be modified or changed before we get to that particular timeline. But the big one is fear. Do not get
Yes,
into that big fear mode. See it as the change of higher, greater opportunities for individuals and for humanity. And get out of your mind and the belief systems that this has to be a certain way. And if you're into that, it's like a leaf in a stream. It's just riding along in the current, and you bump into the sides of the banks and a rock or two in the middle, and you're just here for the ride. But don't try to push it away. If you push it away, it just will intensify. Embrace it, because it's all part of the whole. Don't deny it. Embrace it.
that's the thing, isn't it? It's like a light switch. The world is created out of love and fear, or light and darkness. But we have the capacity to turn on the light, every single one of us, from the inside outward. I think that's the big shift and the big change that is really happening in our world. But it's almost like under the cover, off the radar. It's the daisy pushing through the sidewalk. But it's also a planetary transformation. There's no coincidence to the end game, is there, Rob? The
It's a
end. Every end
continuum.
has a new beginning. Yeah,
Correct. It's a continuum. It's just another layer and another depth that we have to go. There's no end in the beginning. We start things and end things, but it's just a play on the stage of life. And another thing, another chapter opens up and we go into another direction, or we do another thing. And so, on that note, we'll look at that and give people a lot to think about at this particular time. But further down the road, we might investigate some deeper stuff if people choose to want to go that direction, down that rabbit hole, and find out, what is our purpose here, and who were we before we even got on planet Earth, and why am I male and female? What is the polarities all about? And we were kind of looking at that stuff, and we're going to try to address it on our particular perspective. But again, all this comes down is our perspective from this point of view, and it can change at any minute.
Well, thank you, Rob. This sounds exciting, and I hope it's given our listeners um, a seed to plant. Please, let's hear your questions, the real life questions you would like to get to grips with. As we say, if the answer came to you that would give life meaning and purpose, what would that question be? Please enter that into the comments and we'll get back to you. Meantime, thanks for listening. Get on the program with answers to life's big questions. And let's develop this as a weekly service as co creators. And if you'd like to support this series for the new evolution of humanity, consider subscribing, hit the like button, and share with your friends.